Hi guys, Pastor Mark here. Hope you're well. In our study of Ephesians tonight, we're at part 63. We are in this whole section that will lead us to the conclusion of our study in Ephesians, all about the whole armour of God. And over the first two nights we laid the foundation. Obviously, I'd love to lay a deeper and longer foundation, but we've been in Ephesians for 61 nights, so I'm hoping that there's a deep enough foundation here that you understand where we're at and then where we're going. So we've already talked about putting on the armour and why we need the full armour and not just part. Why do we need the full armour? We need the full armour to be ready for the attacks and the schemes of the enemy. We need the full armour to walk worthy of our calling. We need the full armour to live as the new man and not live a life of disobedience or sons of disobedience, which we once were. We need the full armour to serve God fully. We need the full armour in order to operate and outlive our call and purpose in life. We need the full armour, therefore, to serve in our gifting that has been given to us even from the foundation of time. We need the full armour to imitate Christ. Without the full armour of God, we will never be able to imitate Christ fully. And each night we're going to get through these now one at a time in the armour of God. Tonight I want to just simply talk about the belt of truth, and we're not even going to read a full verse tonight because verse 16 of chapter 6, let me read it. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth. Other verses may say gird up your loins, and then the second part of that verse says having put on the breastplate of righteousness. We're not even going to go to that part because it's in two parts, and I just want to concentrate on each part. If we do not stand first, therefore, on truth, nothing else really matters. You're merely only in fancy dress costume. So if we had to withhold truth, or truth had to be eliminated from being at the very core and at the centre of your life, if that's not the first thing that we get grounded and rooted in, understanding truth right from the beginning, everything else we do, the breastplate of righteousness, the gospel shoes, the helmet of salvation, all other things, you'd be just more like a fancy dress Christian. You're merely only in fancy dress if your foundation is not rooted in truth. In the modern pragmatic church, truth is no longer what the word says. You've heard me talking about this, a law and challenging a law, or even who Jesus says he is in the word. But what is right to the person? That is how truth is measured today. I mentioned a post on Sunday. If you listen to the live stream on Sunday, I read from a well-known Christian communicator. This is what it says, and I'll quote it. The church must be willing to participate in the meaningful experience of others, not just create their own for them. End quote. So experiences now becomes truth. Gird yourself with nothing but your experience. Imagine that. Gird yourself with nothing but your experience. And I'll tell you, it won't take very long for the devil to annihilate your soul. If all you've got to stand on is your experiences, because it will completely obliterate truth from your life. Because instead of following truth, instead of hearing God's word as truth, you create your own truth as you go. Your narrative keeps changing. You keep evolving as you go, and you keep changing to suit. But what we don't realise is when we're not rooted and grounded, when we're not girded with truth, what becomes truth ends up what suits our flesh and what suits our ideas or suits our fears or suits our prejudice or suits our confirmation bias. Jesus says in John 8:31-32, then Jesus said to those Jews who believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And I love it says that if you believe and abide in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth shall make you free or set you free. Often I hear people saying, the truth will set you free. You'll even see that in signs when you get into people's houses. The truth will set you free. You'll see it on bracelets. But there's a massive part of that missed out. It says, if you abide in my word. And it's the abiding in the word that helps us know truth. We therefore must gird our loins with the word. Perazoname, gird your loins in with aletheia, truth. Perazoname en aletheia, gird your loins with truth. To wrap oneself in truth. To be fully fastened to all things pertaining to God and His Word. That's really what that means. To gird up your loins, to gird yourself with truth. And listen, without that, you will never stand against the schemes of the enemy. This is why society today, this is why politics, and almost every sphere of life, the greatest attack is on truth. Because if you eliminate truth, no matter how you dress, or what Christian values you think you have, you will not stand against the schemes of the devil. In fact, you will not even know their schemes. Because when you don't stand in truth, how can you measure the word? How can you test the word? How can you test truth if you don't know the word? So we'll not be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. In fact, you will not even know their schemes. I see it today with many people as they don't even see the schemes coming. They have a real lack of discernment. I heard John MacArthur talking about that, and he says one of the things that he sees in the church today is a real lack of discernment. And I believe a lack of discernment is caused by a lack of abiding and girding your loins and wrapping yourself completely encaptured in the word. And it just makes you so susceptible to schemes that you don't even realise the schemes, because you're not girded with the truth. So you don't even know when it's a lie that you hear. I could do a whole series in this one half of a verse. I really could. You know what? One of the things about Jesus' life, and as you look through it, is that he had such discernment. Even just of course he was Christ. He was God in the flesh, but. We can also have that mind of Christ if we continually abide in His word. We will hear the schemes, we'll hear the lies, we'll be able to test what's truth against what is manipulation. And for me, true security, true freedom, true peace, and true courage all starts with girding ourselves with truth. And I see that in our church, that I see people more secure than ever. I see people more free than ever. I see people with more peace than ever. I see people with more courage than ever. It doesn't mean to say that they don't face more persecution. In fact, they face more persecution as they get more secure in the word, as that brings more freedom, as it brings true peace and true courage. It brings more persecution, but what's happened to bring that security and that freedom and that peace is that they gird themselves, and they've girded themselves, and we've girded oneself with truth. There were two greater thinkers and scholars of the Jewish faith, and I'll just close with this, than Apostle Paul. He was Saul at the time. He trained under Gamaliel, who was a great Jewish scholar. Yet even Stephen was the first Christian to be martyred. He was a Hellenistic Jew. But in no way did he have that level of education that Apostle Paul had. But he schooled Paul when he was Saul. He schooled him in knowledge and understanding. He had such wisdom, he was able to answer Saul. It's frightening to think that when we know who Paul is today, I don't think there's anyone more like Christ in the flesh than Paul. Yet Stephen schooled him. Why? Because he was girded with truth. The apostles were not the most educated of apostles, out with Apostle Paul, yet their knowledge, courage and wisdom and security surpassed anything that rose up against them, because they stood in the truth and Christ's teachings and Christ's word. And if we don't first have that foundational truth and gird our loins and gird our waist with truth, then we will be a sitting duck. I said it there at the beginning, we'll more or less be Christians in fancy dress if we're not girded with truth. Okay guys, see you again tomorrow. Take care.